Next, other mistakes which students generally do, they focus on studying, not revising, because studying seems more interesting. Revising requires effort to remember. Studying is interesting because we think that we are getting so much of knowledge, we are listening to new things. But revising, we'll be looking at the same concepts or same things and we'll have to recall it again and again, and it becomes a little monotonous. This is one mistake which aspirants. The other is they tend to revise but do not give test. Like I said, the importance to each of test studying and revising is actually the reverse. Most importance should be given to test, second importance to revision, and third importance to studying. Though first we study, then we revise, then we give test, though this is the direction, but in UPSC it is the test which will help you to clear more, and it will be revision which will be help to clear more rather than studying too much of things. Next, there is fear of low scores, so no tests are given. This is another issue which most of the aspirants face. They give test, they get low scores, they feel sad and they do not give the next test. You need to understand that it is not the institute scores that will determine whether you clear prelims or you do not. It is the actual UPSC prelims exam that will decide whether you are in, whether you are out. UPSC institute test series are just to see if you are on the right direction, to see if whatever you have revised, if you are able to apply it or not. It doesn't determine your selection. There are people, like I said, who get good scores in institutes but they actually fail in UPSC exam. I personally remember myself in the year 2023 when the paper was so difficult. 2 weeks before the actual exam, I had given an institute full length test series and I got 55 marks. I myself feel bogged down, I felt very sad. But when I actually went to the UPSC exam, in that year 2023, I got 96 marks, which is drastic increase of 41 marks. And 41 marks is no small number in UPSC prelims. So what I felt after that is that these institutes are just a way to test ourselves if we know things, if we are able to apply those things. It doesn't determine a selection. And the way the institute test series are framed could be entirely different from UPSC exam. Once we know that there is a difference between this institute and UPSC exam, that is when we understand that though I get a less marks in institute, it's okay, there is still chance and we do not lose our hope. Like there is a quote, learn to live with your bags half packed while your senses remain sharp. Senses remain sharp, attentiveness, critical thinking, thinking on spot, and bags half packed in the sense though we have not studied all the 12-month current affairs magazine, though we have studied 6 months current affair magazine, there is still good chance we can clear it. Another thing is focusing excessively on easy test. By easy test, I mean level 1 test. There would be sectional test. Aspirants tend to give more sectional tests, that too in areas where they are strong. Usually the subjects are polity, modern history, economy, geography. These are the areas where aspirants are strong and they tend to give more number of tests over this, neglecting science and tech, neglecting ancient medieval, neglecting mapping, neglecting the IR part. Even those areas are equally important because you never know on which subject more number of questions could appear. So this is another mistake. Aspirants tend to focus on easy test because when they give the easy test, they get good marks. They get 90 marks, they get 100 marks, and this gives a sense of comfort. But if you are only playing in your comfort zone, when you actually enter the UPSC exam hall and attempt the paper, that is the moment you will face discomfort. So rather than that, face discomfort when you are giving mocks, so that you know that these sort of things could happen in UPSC and you are able to attempt it in a better manner. People avoid giving full length test. Full length tests are the ones which will actually determine as to how you will attempt in UPSC paper. It is not a sectional, because sectional, though you get good marks in institute sectional, you might feel that you have very good control over the subject. For instance, you have given polity paper, or let me tell, if you have given economy paper of institutes, you have given 4 to 5 tests and you have got good scores over them. You feel that you are very good with economy, but in the actual UPSC exam, you never know as to what difficulty level the economic questions might come. There might be a year where the economic questions are difficult. So in that case, in institute you got more marks, but in actual paper you will not be able to get more marks in the paper. So there is need to focus equally on all areas and To do that, try to give more full length. If you give full length, there will be all the subjects and cumulatively they will be balanced. If economy is difficult in one paper, in the next paper economy will be easy. If modern history is easy in one paper, in the next paper modern history will be difficult. So in that sort of balance, they try to balance out each other in a full length paper. Similarly, not giving test in exam sort of environment, this is another mistake which aspirants face. In exam environment, I mean, many of us, they want to give the test in their comfort zone, be it their house, in their room, upon a table, it could be a library. So in this sort of comfort environment, when we are giving test, we have sat in that environment, we know how is it, and we will be very comfortable because there will be no noise, no disturbance, because we will be sitting in such a place. But in the actual UPSC exam, you never know how the things are going to happen. I myself have sat in halls where in the surrounding area there was some music happening because of some religious festival, or someone shouting because of some events. So these happen in the actual UPSC environment. And when you sit in the actual UPSC environment, there are so many aspirants surrounding you, which is very different from a library setup or home setup. So what I recommend is give at least 2 to 3 tests in a exam sort of environment. There are institutes which conduct exam mocks on public campuses, on public schools. So when you go to such schools to give the exam, you are already entering that UPSC sort of environment. So when you actually enter for the UPSC exam, you do not feel very alien. You do not feel it to be very different. But if you have not done it, when you actually enter to the exam, you will feel very different. I myself has experienced this, and I have suggested it to my juniors itself also. Also, another mistake that they make is changing their strategy due to the external forces. Whenever we are preparing for a UPSC exam in a market sort of environment, be it Delhi, be it Bangalore, be it Chennai or other area, we do have so many friends preparing along with us. We have our library mates. But once we are very thoroughly researched and we have formulated a strategy, do not try to change it, because what your peers might suggest might have worked for them, may not work for you. And if you keep changing your strategy, keep changing your direction, then it becomes very difficult. So, but there is to a certain extent where you need flexibility in your strategy. So you can keep that 80% of your strategy to be fixed, but that 20% you can keep it open for suggestions, because there are some institutes which conduct very good tests during few years, but in few years it may not conduct or hold that good test. So that keeps changing. So you can keep the 20% as flexible, but that 80% you should have that rigid strategy in your mind as to what you want to do. Also, another thing about the strategy, including the toppers. See, when we're talking about toppers, there would be certain strategy which would have worked for 70% of the people. There would be certain other strategy which would have worked for 20% of the people. There would be another strategy which would have worked for 20% of the people. Even 70%, this segment have cleared the exam, even this segment have cleared the exam, even this segment have cleared the exam. But try to replicate or pick up the strategy which has worked for 70% of the people, because this is more reliable compared to other two. Those with 10%, they might have their inherent skills. Inherent skills could be their cognitive memory. Like for example, I have seen that so many people who have done their MBBS, they are exceptional with their memory, which others may not have. There are people with very high analytical skills who are very good with respect to pattern. They try to understand more and remember less. So those 10%, 20% people could have their inherent skills which are helping them clear despite less hard work. So we'll try to adapt to that strategy which has worked to most number of people. And what has worked for most number of people, I've already made a video in a previous session. Another issue is echo chamber effect. What is echo chamber effect? We surround ourselves with people and we have a particular belief. If the other person tells the same belief, then it reinforces that belief into us very rigidly. It is said that prelims is a luck game. So if a person feels that prelims is a luck game because he has failed it thrice and the other person has failed the exam 4 times, that person is telling the same thing. So these two people believe that prelims is a luck game because they have not been able to clear the exam, and they feel it that it is because of their luck that they have not been able to clear. There is someone new aspirant who is coming to the field and these people try to influence him. So that person doesn't know much about the prelims, but if he listens to these sort of things, he might feel that this is a luck game. So let me not study or focus more upon this. Let me focus more on mains. Let's see what happens in prelims. So this is one mistake which aspirants face. If it was a luck game, then there wouldn't be aspirants who clear it year by year, that too with good GM scores. Definitely there is a certain amount of luck in prelims, but the amount of luck that you need in prelims could be reduced if your strategy is right and if you have done enough hard work. Another thing is too much focus on current affairs and test solutions. This is another mistake that they make. People tend to focus less on the static part and tend to focus more on current affairs or test solutions. This is another mistake which aspirants shouldn't face. See, 70 to 80% of your effort should go into your static, be it prelims or mains, and this should be given that 20 to 30% of attention, because it is your static that will help you to clear and not these things, because test solutions themselves will have 70-80% static content in it. Other general mistakes which aspirants tend to make: listening to strategies of candidates who have not cleared. No disrespect to someone who has not cleared, but someone who has not cleared might think that this thing could work, but they themselves have not tried it, and they themselves, though they have tried it, has not worked. So please, if you have to take help or if you have to take suggestion from someone, please tend to take it from someone who has cleared, because they might be able to guide you in a better way. Another thing is not practicing PYQ before the actual exam. I'll be making a separate video to tell the importance of PYQ, as to how many years PYQ you should be solving and when you should be solving, or what is the daily you can do about the PYQs. I'll be talking about this, but this is another mistake. PYQs are of very prime importance. You cannot deny the importance of PYQs. PYQs are on one side and all others on another side, if I have to put it very simply. Another one is constant comparison with friends. When a group of friends go and give a prelims test in a particular institute, then there will be a rank list that will be left. The friends who are at the bottom, they feel I got less marks and my friend is on top, and they feel sad. These are not the things that are meant to be done here. I do not want to tell as to what it tells, but your comparison should be with your friends to only certain extent, that if my friend is able to score 90 marks and I have scored 84 marks, both have studied the same resource and same knowledge base, then he has scored that 6 marks extra. What I need to learn is that I need to talk to him and understand what is that he made, or how is that way that he attempted that he got that 6 marks extra. This should be the mindset, because even though your friend is a competitor, there is enough seats for all of you in prelims. There is 12,000 to 14,000 seats. Though your friend group is of 5 to 6 members, all of you could clear by helping out each other. So this is what it should be. It should be more of this cooperative federalism thing towards your friends. Another thing is overburdening, making excessive notes. Making notes of Lakshmikant, deducing it into another Lakshmikant, or trying to add each and every fact from the institute test series that you give. So this is another thing which aspirants tend to make, because they think that if they have control over the content, they can do well in the exam, but that content may not come in the actual exam. So I'd suggest 2 ways as to how you can reduce your burden of making notes when you're actually attempting the institute test series. See, one way is, there'll be a question, there'll be 4 options. In the question paper, in the question sheet itself, when you're attempting, if there is some new fact, you can write in pen in this space and end it up there itself. Try to add only 2 to 3 things that you can mention it there. Do not try to make another notes out of it, because this will save you a lot of time and it will help you in revision. If you are making hectic notes before the prelims, you will not be able to revise it. So this is one way. If this is question number 1, question 4 options, whatever is related to question number 1, when you see the synopsis, write it down here itself. 3 facts. This is one way of doing it. Or else, if you are someone of a laptop or tab kind of person, then I'll show you. This is what you can do. This was one of the tests that was conducted by India4IAS on geography, and these were the things which I found to be relevant, which I found to be important. So what I did, from the actual synopsis, when I was reading it in PDF form, I highlighted it, and what I did, pasted it in a Word document. So I reduced the entire synopsis thing into 2 sheets, single sheet with 2 sides. So whatever I tried to highlight whatever I tried to note here, all of them were important things. I did not try to bring things that I felt as less important. So this is another way. So you can follow that pattern or even this pattern. Another one is not practicing or following the same way of attempting questions. This is another mistake which aspirants face. Usually we know that whenever there are questions, now few of us have a habit of attempting the prelims paper in one round. Very less people do, but many of my friends, they have attempted UPSC prelims paper in one go itself. But most of us, we follow that 2 round or 3 round strategy, where in the first round we'll only attempt questions about which we are very much aware. In the second questions, we'll try to attempt those questions in which we are confused between 2 options, and in the third round we'll attempt or try to attempt those questions on which we are not sure about. So it depends upon you. Now if it's your first round, you can do it as first round, mark it as first, mark it as second. So but whatever you are doing, whether it is second round or third round, whatever you practice in the actual exam should be the same thing what you have practiced in the institute test. If you have practiced in the institute as 2 round strategy or 3 round strategy, do the same in the UPSC exam. Why I am telling this is, in the UPSC exam, when the time is less, when the questions are different, when the language seems different, people, they get nervous and they just start attempting, they forget their strategy. This has happened and this will happen if you are not very much aware of this fact. So attempt the same way in which you are attempting the actual paper. Likewise, you attempted your institute paper. And another thing is taking excessive guess and then regretting about it. This is also another mistake. So whatever guess you are taking, be it in 15 questions or 20 questions, practice it in institute paper. And once you have done that, then you come to UPSC actual exam guessing. Whatever guesswork you have done in UPSC PYQs, do that same sort of guesswork or do that same extent guesswork in actual UPSC paper. If you have done less guesswork in institute because you are a person of accuracy, then do the same in UPSC paper. Though it will not be the same because the papers might different, the paper will be different, and the level of difficulty could also vary between institute and UPSC. So based on that, we'll have to make a balance.